Hello everyone and welcome to this next episode / installment of the beginner tutorial on how to do your first DirectX 12 application in C++. Um, Last episode we did some final implementation on the command queue and the command list. We also did some weird stuff here that I might not have elaborated properly on in our update step. I will return to that shortly. As per always, this is part of a live stream. I might be doing more episodes um, um, if we have the time. Hello and welcome. Um, I will be answering questions at the end of each video in terms of the viewers who watched the live stream. If you have questions or anything related to this content, feel free to leave a comment if you watch it in the future. All right. Today we're going to do some buffer allocation. Some buffer allocation on the GPU. We will be discussing that a bit. But let me first recap a bit on what we did during the last episode here, which I may not have explained properly. We initialized the Swapchain with currently two buffers, which is created during the get buffer call to the Swapchain itself, and we store them in some COM pointers here. We also grab our descriptor heap starting position in terms of the CPU address and update the pointer for each of those to our the appropriate offset into that heap. So we make the Swapchain allocate some render targets. It does it in terms of its own description, and these resources get allocated. We can also deallocate them by dropping the buffers. They are initialized as buffers are per standard in terms of the Swapchain. And that means that they are created in a state that is both common and present, which means that the buffer is created in a present state, meaning that it can only be used to present something. That is a problem if we want to render to it. So DirectX 12 handles that by using resource barriers that controls the state of each resource. Is it something that we can write to? Is it something that we can only read from? Is it something that we can both write and read from? Is it something that the Swapchain can use for a percent? Is it something that the pipeline can use for a render target? And so on. So whenever we want to render something to a render target bound to the Swapchain, we have to make sure that it is in a render target state. So each draw call starts with controlling the state of the current back buffer, meaning the one that is not shown on the screen but is in the opposite side of the two buffers that are in our Swapchain. One is on the screen and one is in the so-called back buffer, remember? And you could also have several back buffers, more than one. But we have to make sure that we can actually use the current back buffer as a render target. So we create a barrier that we submit to our graphics command list. We record that command. Remember, this command simply just reinterprets our command list as a graphics command list. We created that method last time. It's just an inline method that returns a pointer to the same pointer as the underlying object. And we tell it to create a resource barrier, only one resource barrier with the description that we just specified. We then, for testing of this application, want to show that the Swapchain actually does something. So we decided that we want to clear the current render target to a specified color as proof of our drawing. We therefore need to find the handle / memory address of our render target. We ask the Swapchain to fetch us that, depending on what is the current buffer. And we record another command to our graphics command list, which is clear render target view at the specified handle and the specified color. We then want to be able to show that on the screen, and we do that by creating another barrier, which will also target the current buffer, but we want to switch the state from a render target to the present state. We record that command, and now we're done recording commands, at least for now. This means that we will close our command list and send it off to execution on our command queue. We've created a wrapper that calls the execute command list method and increases our fence value. And this is really important. It's a intricate part of DirectX 12. You need to get to know the fences and how fences work and how command queues work with fences. It's highly important since it's abstracted away in a lot of more beginner-friendly APIs. So we increase the current fence value for our collection of commands, meaning that whenever these commands are done, we expect the fence, which is just a synchronization object, to have that certain value. We also tell the command queue that it needs to tell this fence, whenever I'm done, you will have this value. So this method here makes sure that there are synchronization steps available both for the command queue and for the CPU. We execute the commands whenever the back buffer is ready to be presented. Hello, welcome, and thank you. We will call that. In case our resources are in use, we simply need to wait for the fence of the command queue to have a value that is equal to our currently expected fence value when this frame here is done. Unless it's not, we pause the CPU thread. Whenever we're done, we can safely reset our command allocator, which holds all the commands, and our command list as well, and open it for registration of new commands. And we can do this over and over and over. This is basically a loop that, hello buddy, welcome. So the only thing that we need to make sure is that we don't call this, sure thing I do, of course, haven't forgotten. I will never forget. Yeah, so that's it. That's basically what we did last episode. We also made sure that whenever we want to close our application, that we've kind of flushed the command queue for commands and bound resources so that everything is ready to be released and nothing is referenced in terms of execution of different command list calls. So therefore we need to sort of create empty frames that we wait for, or at least tell the command queue to do. By increasing the fence. When we've done that, we can release our Swapchain, which will, let's see, maybe I shouldn't reset here first. Maybe I should call reset last here. But it will drop the buffers, it will reset its heap, descriptor heap, and it will release itself. And then we do the same thing. Okay, enough blabbering here. We will now turn our heads to, let me see, maybe I should end the recording here for this part of the episode, and just call it a short recap episode, and then move on to the buffer stuff. Yeah, I'll do that shortly.